Alright, this company has 34 million shares outstanding. They have this one drug, CAR XT. It's for schizophrenia. It's pretty exciting. There haven't been too many new medicines for schizophrenia. It's the combination of two drugs. Xanomeline and trospium. Trospium is a well-known drug. I think it's been FDA approved for a long time. Let's take a look into the FDA website and type trospium. Yeah, trospium's been around. It hasn't been around that long, actually, but maybe it has. I don't know. Let's see. Approved in 2004, so it's not that. It's pretty new, relatively new, if you think about it. Schizophrenia is actually a much bigger market than you might imagine. Hold on, I'm getting an important message. Yes, almost 3 million schizophrenics in America, really large patient population. It's always been a large pharmaceutical market. So I'm just looking at the 10K. I try not to listen to music while I work. So the PANSS score, PANSS, is basically the positive negative symptom scale of schizophrenia, and it's sort of how you measure the effect of drugs on schizophrenia, and you can see the results here are pretty good. The so-called Emergent 1 trial. Looks like they are all in the positive, maybe not all, let's see, but the positive symptoms also benefited. The positive symptoms are the like hallucinations. Looks like the negative symptoms benefited as well. Those are often harder to treat. This was a phase 2 trial, I see. There was a phase 3 trial called Emergent 2, and it looked quite good as well. 5-week. There's Emergent 3. And Emergent 4 and 5 are open label extensions. They're not positive in the sense that they're good, they're positive symptoms in the sense that they're something that was created that didn't exist before. Schizophrenia is obviously a very debilitating mental illness. Looks like a phase 3 study called Arise as well. Yeah, we're looking at xanomeline. So it looks like that's basically their main drug. Don't really have a lot else. This drug and this company is probably the most exciting thing to happen to psychiatry pharmaceuticals in a long time. The company's worth $6 billion. Let's look at the balance sheet. My guess is they have around $1 billion. Yeah. Yeah, everything here is public information. Go to sec.gov for a lot of this stuff. All right, so they have it's a $6 billion company, about $1 billion in cash, so like a $5 billion enterprise value. Honestly, I think it's kind of that alone tells me it's a little bit cheap, because this is really game-changing medicine. Now, it's an older medicine. It was like an Eli Lilly reject. No, it's not a dopamine antagonist. Beirut's asking the good questions. This is a muscarinic agonist, so most of the schizophrenia's drugs are dopamine D2 antagonists. But what's up, Kara? This is a muscarinic agonist. So the problem with the muscarinic agonists is the peripheral symptoms. So what they did is they designed a combination medicine with trospium, which is a peripherally restricted antagonist. So you have this really neat situation. Yeah, cholinergics. So you have this really neat situation where this is a person with schizophrenia. And this is xanolamine, which is a M1 agonist, or M1 and M4 agonists, right? So this will distribute peripherally and centrally. And you take it with an M1, M4 antagonist. That's trospium. I got it right. Trospium. And you take that, but that's peripherally available, but not centrally available. So there's no green in the brain. So the green and the red offset each other peripherally. That's outside of the blood-brain barrier. But the blood-brain barrier limits trospium availability in the central nervous system. So you're left with the activator or agonist. Agonist means to activate. You're left with the agonist, which is the red one, in the brain, and in the periphery they kind of will fight each other and offset each other. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, it's used for overactive bladder. So if you just give the M1, M4 agonist, you're going to get, all the cholinergic symptoms like constipation and things like that, which nobody wants. That's why xanolamine didn't work, because you couldn't get it targeted to the brain. So biochemistry is really easy. You want something difficult, learn physics. All right, so let's take a look at where these guys are. In terms of their kind of like where they're headed. So they had emergent 3, and this study hit its primary endpoint, so pretty important. So they've had 3 successful phase 3s, pretty big deal. So 8.4 and reduction is placebo controlled at week 5, very good result. They're going to submit the NDA in mid-2023. Okay. how do you know they're not providing fake data? Good question. If you provided fake data, you'd be lying in your SEC filings, and you'd be risking prison. And the FDA audits the data, so that's typically what prevents people from lying about data. But so, I mean, I'm pretty excited about this drug relative to the valuation. Schizophrenia drugs often will sell quite well because it's such a large market. If you look at Acadia, that drug is really, to me, not very good. And that drug sold relatively well. So I think you could sell several $1 billion here. Let's see. Okay, so we basically know when they'll get FDA approval and stuff like that. We should probably figure out their IP situation as well, but let's sort of improvise. It's very hard to develop a drug quickly, so generally it takes at least 5 years to, once a drug has started dosing in humans, to get to FDA approval. So you can't change your drug while you're doing that, so it's a very, very lengthy process, and most companies aren't like there isn't the battle for like doing a new kind of drug and a new disease is a slow process. All right. So I'm just gonna like improvise some numbers here. The problem is that this is a very old medicine, and like they may only get 5 years of intellectual property. They possibly could get longer than that. I think if they only got that much, that wouldn't be very valuable. But anytime you have like a drug that sells well, the generic world is very excited about kind of making a generic to that drug. So you can almost like do a DCF right there. Shut up, kitty. So you get 5 years no matter what for a new drug. So 2028 is like the very soonest it could go generic. But if they get a couple more years, let's see what the discount rate and all that gives us in terms of valuation. Right, that's not a whole lot more. That's basically the current stock price. So let's go. So that's if they get 9 years of sales, which sounds pretty decent for an old drug. I don't know how much more they could get than that, you know? So that's sort of one way to look at it. If the drug sells a lot better, say it sells like something crazy like this, you can see the NPV is 8 billion. But it's not a whole lot more. So basically, that's a $268 stock. The current stock price is 176, so that's kind of a good buy. But like, that's assuming they get around 8 full years, like 8.5 years. They could get more, they could get less, I don't know. The key is going to rest on patents. We don't know exactly what kind of patents they have or don't have, and that's kind of the major question there. So I'll look at Karuna's property, intellectual property, a little more closely and kind of think about, you know, what the possibilities are there. But I'm kind of like positively disposed to that one. But again, that great drug, but you know, they need more than 5 years to sell it.